Hey everybody, good afternoon. Today is Wednesday, April the 29th, 2020 at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I hope everybody out there is safe and healthy right now and looking forward hopefully to somewhat of a safe return to our quasi-normal lives in the near future. As always, thank you to everybody who's doing his or her part so that we can get through this challenging period in our lives. Our world truly is changing minute by minute and hour by hour these days. So today I'm talking with a real estate closing expert, Chris Boedecker from Wiseman Law, who's going to talk to us a little bit about some of the changes he's seeing from his end of the closing table. Hey, welcome, Chris. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you and your family doing right now?
Hey, Brew. We're doing great. You know, the kids are home from doing homeschool, and thankfully I have a teacher in the household, so that's helping out a lot. But watching the television today is just ridiculous. So this morning I went on a scavenger hunt. I actually was trying to find some old shows. Apparently you can't live stream. You can't do that on television. I don't know if you remember that, but we settled on Hey Dude. I downloaded the first season, and hopefully they will be watching that as opposed to the crap they have been watching.
So new world with the kids at home. I guess you're splitting more time between the office and home, or are you still in the office a good bit?
Yeah, I'm still in the office. You know, we have a lot of changes, obviously, in the way that we do our work, but I'm still here trying to deliver flawless closings to your clients and others on your team.
And you guys have been doing great. You know, we were talking about, it seems so odd these days that I'm not at the closing office like we used to be. We've had several closings with you guys in the last month, and it's a little bit different. So I want to address that a little bit. And to those folks in our audience, if you have any questions, of course, leave them in the comments. We'll get back to those as quickly as possible. So Chris, really quickly, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, who you work for, how long you've been in the business, that kind of give us a little scoop on that.
Yeah, so I'm, again, Chris Boedecker. I'm an attorney with Wiseman. I run our office here in Midtown Atlanta, and I've been practicing for about 10 years now. So done this for a while and seen all sorts of changes. Obviously, none quicker than what's happened in the past 2 months. But the great thing is with technology, we'll talk about, I've really been able to deliver for you and your clients.
So tell me, I guess that brings us to the next question. How has the COVID-19 world changed the landscape of real estate closings from your side? What are you seeing now in this different and new world that we're in?
Well, you know, one thing that it's a little sad, but we're adjusting, and maybe we'll go back to it, is, you know, gathering around the closing table. That was always an important part of a closing. It was that bow at the end of a deal that really made everyone feel like a deal was done. Now we don't do it the same way. It's similar to the way they do it in California or other places where, you know, one party signs in one room and other parties in another, or even at different times, different places. So that's the biggest change. Like I said, thankfully, we've been able to use some technology to make those adjustments. But, you know, in the end, what we're trying to do is deliver a flawless closing where your clients really just feel like they've accomplished something. Because unlike me or you, Brew, this could be one of just a handful of closings that they may ever do in their lives. And so we try to deliver the type of service that you always deliver, and we try to match right up with that.
So tell me, you touched on it a little bit. Tell me about the changes in your work environment. Tell me about the technology. What are you guys doing differently today than you just 60 days ago, man? Because it has changed.
Yeah, it's crazy how much things have changed so quickly. You know, one of the important things in Georgia is that we always needed to have an attorney witness the signing of documents that were going to be recorded, and we still do that. But now we can do it by video. There's a temporary executive order from the governor allowing us to do that. And so now we're doing closings with lender approval. And, you know, if your clients have the technology available, they can appear in a Zoom closing just like we are here today, and sign the documents in front of our closing team. So that's one thing.
Go ahead, Chris.
Second, we have, we're trying to meet your clients with the level of risk that they feel comfortable. We don't want anyone uncomfortable or feeling unsafe. And so we're cleaning the conference rooms constantly. We're meeting clients at their cars to sign documents. We're doing mailaways when they're available. And on cash purchases, we're doing it completely electronically, the way that you have been doing things for a while with contracts. We're doing that for the whole closing.
Wow. So technology and cleaning are two huge things. And I guess, do you counsel them, I guess, through the Zoom calls and stuff like that?
Yeah, we definitely do. We've actually at our firm set up a team that is specializing in helping people through that process, making sure they have exactly what they need and the capabilities. Because the last thing we want is someone to get to a closing and them not be able to print the paperwork or understand exactly what they're signing. So we take great care in making sure that happens.
So are you still seeing a lot of paper flow through, or is a lot of it now going electronically?
It's a mixture. There is still a lot of paper, and although we're paperless here, as you can attest, if you've been to many closings, there's still a ton of paper that's printed, and even on the electronic or virtual closings, the customer still needs to be able to print that paper and deliver it back to us, because we do still record the wedding signatures.
So you still have, like you say, you still have to have the wedding signature. So what do? They do the mail away type thing, print it out, have it notarized,
Yep,
FedEx
and then
it back to you?
Yeah, FedEx it back, or even courier it same day.
Gotcha. It has changed a lot. It's a bit odd, as you mentioned, because we're so used to the we're all there together and making this process happen, and it's sort of like the crowning achievement moment of the whole process and gaining your new home. So it's a little different slant on it now, isn't it?
It certainly is. It certainly is. But we're all adjusting, and always make sure to recognize you and your professional counterparts, so that everyone knows that it went smoothly because of the work that the professionals did leading it up to that point.
And I think that calls on both sides of the table. That's why I've sent several closings you guys in the last month and haven't been there. And I would probably be more nervous if it were places where I didn't know everybody was so systematic and so good and so thorough and making sure everything was done properly. Of course, with everything, with all changes, there are positive, negatives. Tell me some of the positive things you're seeing coming out of this. I mean, what good stuff are we seeing?
Yeah, I feel like that buyers and sellers are now taking great care and paying attention to deadlines. Those are some things that were often missed in the past to their own detriment. And so now that people are having to focus on the details, deals are going much smoother all the way around from that perspective. Also, we're getting to utilize technology that we've never used before, and it's working. People are responding and liking it, and I think that a lot of that's going to stay with us.
That's going to bring me to one of my next questions. But first, I want to ask you, if you have, for folks who are closing in the next weeks and months and stuff like that, making their real estate transactions coming forward, what would be your best recommendations on how to prepare for one of our new, more or less virtual closings?
Yeah, the first things that I would do is, again, like I just said, pay attention to the deadlines, because although we've still see very robust business, underwriters, lenders are being very careful in their underwriting, and so they're checking things at the last minute. And if you're a seller and your buyers lose their job at the last minute, that could cause a domino effect down the road. And so you got to be very careful with your earnest money and the timing of expirations for contingencies like a financing contingency, to make sure that you don't put yourself at risk. And I think that's important for buyers and sellers always, but especially right now.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot, especially about these day before closing verifications of employment and stuff like that. I think that has increased tremendously since our world has made this sort of flip side, and to your credit as well, same thing over here. We're still seeing a robust amount of traffic and business come through. People who are not serious are kind of out of the game, and the ones who are still there. So we really haven't seen so much of a change in the flow, other than there's not as many frivolous or just who people aren't really serious buyers and sellers rolling into the marketplace. So our folks are really serious right now.
I think so. I definitely agree.
So I guess that brings me to, I guess, what would probably be my last question is, and you sort of touched on it. Do you expect some of these changes to become the new normal? I mean, and what would you say would you be your top two that you're going to see in our future on a regular basis?
Well, so I do think that a lot of this stuff is going to change. Now, I hope that very soon we'll be able to gather around the closing table, like we said, to really celebrate the purchase or the sale, because almost always those are great days.
They are.
And even if it was a bad situation that you help someone out of, it always ends up a positive in the end. But the use of technology is going to continue. People like it. We're going to get a lot more done in advance of closing, like pre-signing and e-signing of documents that aren't 100% necessary, like the recorded documents. We got to get wedding signatures on those. But other documents, I think lenders are figuring out, hey, an electronic signature is acceptable in Georgia and other places. Our investors are okay with it now. And now we're going to stick with that. And so you'll see a quicker closing where we can really get to the fun and celebrate the parties there.
So you think in our future closings, we're going to have a lot of the pre-paperwork done before we actually get to the table when we do get the celebratory moment?
Absolutely. Cool. And I think it's going to make for a more efficient, and everyone's going to a lot less sitting around and a lot more celebrating.
I'm very inclined to agree with that. Chris, thank you so much for sharing with us today, man. And our world really is changing by minute and hour by hour, isn't it? So Thursday, you guys don't forget that I'll be here with the update on the real estate in Old Fourth Ward. Chris, of course, thank you again for joining us. Until then, folks, I look forward to seeing you then. And in the meantime, stay safe and stay healthy, my friends. Have a wonderful day.